listener stories episode for you today.
Woo!
We've got haunted houses, haunted jobs, and possibly a hide behind.
Oh no.
It was very serendipitous.
Oh god. I thought we were done with those. Monday's episode really messed me up.
Mondays was weird. Yeah.
It was
weird.
very scary, and you mentioned people seeing them like up north and in Wisconsin and stuff. I was editing that video in Wisconsin,
Looking over your shoulder.
in a basement by myself. Everybody had left, and I was by myself trying to finish this video. Or Monday's video.
Yeah.
And I was terrified the entire time.
I'm sorry.
And it was a cold day for some reason, so I was just like shivering and bundled up and just horrified.
I mean, your vacation was last minute, and this was already kind of on the schedule.
It wasn't last minute. It was last minute to you because I forgot to tell you about it.
To me.
Yeah. It was horrifying, so I'm not really excited about that.
So just know I didn't do it on purpose. I didn't know.
Sure.
I didn't hear Natalie's going north. I got to find a creepy, horrifying thing to talk about.
Sure.
Anyway, we'll go ahead and get started. Our tea today is Montana Spice and Tea Company. It's Wild Huckleberry.
Yep.
A very good tea.
I'm excited to get started, so let's go.
Our first story today comes from Brittany. Hey, love your videos and wanted to share our office's paranormal experiences. I work at a small office in a small town with a handful of other coworkers. I actually work here with my mom, and we're big believers in the paranormal. The building has been around for a long time and has been used for many different businesses over the years. It has a large attached garage on the back where tools and supplies are kept for the business. This info will come to play soon. Our first experience really was when a coworker thought she saw our boss walk into his office. We checked his office, but he was not there. She could have sworn she saw at least a shadow walk into his office. We were very creeped out. Weird little unexplainable things would happen all the time, but we could only shrug it off. Another experience happened with another coworker. He had an office set up in the garage in the back. It had a window that looked out of the garage into the rest of the office. And he came into the main office, where my coworkers and I work, one day and asked if our boss was in the office. We all looked confused, but replied no. The coworker said he saw someone walk by his office window, and they had white hair, like our boss. Again, we were all confused because our boss did not come into the office, but our coworker swore he saw him. The next experience happened to me. I was walking to the front of our office in the lobby/reception area and heard a loud crash. I looked over and one of the picture frames on the wall had fallen off. It was very random as the picture had been hanging on the wall for years. We actually had security cameras set up in the front, so we played back the footage to see what happened. What we saw, we could not believe. I slowed down the footage on my phone to show everyone what happened. We saw the frame slowly lift off the wall from the left bottom corner. There was no explanation for this. We tried everything to explain it off. Our office is by a main road, so we thought maybe a big truck rode by and shook the walls. No, that didn't happen. We thought maybe the air of me walking by the photo pushed it up. That didn't happen. As you can see in the video, the frame started to lift before I even got to it, and I could not cause that much air by walking by it. They said they'll attach a video, but they didn't.
Oh my gosh.
And I emailed them and hadn't heard back. So
please send it, please. We'll post it on our Instagram story if it is there.
Video.
Oh my gosh.
Time passes and we eventually get a new receptionist. We introduced her to the office and all her duties, and on some downtime, we shared our paranormal stories in the office and how we believed it to be haunted. I was explaining to her how an old touch lamp that sat on the spare desk in the office would randomly turn on sometimes. As I explained this to her, we looked back at the lamp, and it was on. This is always turned off and placed in a corner where nobody goes. The only way for it to turn on is by tapping it pretty hard. You can try to stomp on the floor by it or tap the desk it's on, and it still will not turn on by itself. I could not believe, as I was talking about the lamp, that it came on by itself. I think our new receptionist started to believe our stories then. Lots of little things would still happen randomly. It seems like activity would quiet down for a while and nothing would happen, but then happen suddenly and many things would go on. My mom has experienced hearing her name being said and a paperclip thrown at her while she was sitting at her desk. Since we know this building is old, we're not sure if someone passed away here or in this area that could be haunting it, Or perhaps it's a ghost visiting since activity happens randomly. Brittany.
Oh my gosh.
First of all, love that you and your mom work together. That's so cute.
Yeah, that is cute and
I used
that's
to work
fun.
with my mom.
But the fact that the frame lifted slowly, it didn't just like, slide off the wall.
It was like something lifted it up and
That's
fell off. Something that had been hanging there for years too.
and
That's
how do you
the thing.
explain that though? It's like I could fully get behind and just accept that Brittany walked past and like the floor creaked or something, just hit it just right and it just slid off. But lifting and then flying off,
Yeah.
it's too much. It's too much, man. And I want to see this video, please.
I know.
Please, Brittany, please.
I emailed them a few days ago. I hadn't heard back.
Fingers crossed, everyone.
This email is from like a year and a half ago. So
yeah, well, that's fair. Brittany, I hope you're still here.
Me too. Our next story is unsigned, so anonymous.
Ooh.
Hey guys, I love your videos so much. You make me feel less crazy. Do you know about the theory of two mirrors facing each other and how it makes a vortex? I am much like y'all and hate mirrors. This all happened when I was about 10 years old. Around this time, I was remodeling my bedroom, so mirrors were off the wall and propped up against the corners. Me and my childhood best friend, Bella, were sitting on the bottom bunk of my bed watching Musical.ly. I looked up and saw one of my small hanging mirrors on my floor propped up against my dresser, swaying from side to side. I looked at Bella and said, "Do you see that?" And all she replied was with a nod. I got up to try and steady the mirror when I saw it was directly across from my full-length mirror, perfectly lined up. We screamed, as two 10-year-old girls would. I mean, we just accidentally created a vortex in my room. I flipped the hanging mirror over and to the left, so it wasn't in line with the other mirror anymore. But the swaying wasn't even the scariest part. I ran back to bed as fast as I could and huddled with Bella. A couple minutes passed when me and Bella watched this small mirror flip back over, full spin, and everything to be directly in line with the full-length mirror again, reflective sides facing each other. It flipped over. We booked it out of my room and downstairs where our mothers were playing cards. They called us nuts, but I swear to this day we watched this happen.
Okay. Imagine. So if this happened and your child was 10 and they came and told me, "Oh my gosh, this just happened." I'd be like, "No, it didn't. Oh my gosh, y'all are dramatic." I would not believe them.
I would simply remove the other mirror out of their room.
Well, that too.
And say, "No, we're not going to risk this again."
My brain won't let me comprehend that happened. I would just have to simply be like, "No, y'all imagined it. I can't do this right now."
So you're coming around, you're understanding the parents now.
Yes, because I would absolutely not be able to handle that.
I don't know. As a parent, I would ease the situation, calm things down, and then pluck the mirror and place it face down somewhere.
Yes.
And never look at it again. Ever since those mirrors flipped to face each other, strange things happened to me. I have repeatedly seen a boy in that same corner that had happened. I can describe him perfectly. Black hair, pale skin, a black tux he was most likely buried in, blacked out eyes, standing at about 4'11". He has never done anything to me, but I don't believe him to be sent from God at all. He looks too creepy for that. Then weird noises started coming from my closet at night. I even had a sleep paralysis dream where Jesus Christ was strung up on my bed frame like he was on the cross.
Jeez. Oh
that is
God.
Intense and really scary.
What the heck?
Although I don't know if it was a dream, to be honest. I remember running downstairs and waking up on the couch. Something completely unrelated, but me and Bella also think that we saw an SW in our neighborhood. It looked and smelled disgusting, but that's a story for another time. I am a Jesus lover and do not like to mess with anything in the ghostly world, but it tends to follow me. Thank you so much for reading. Fun fact, your anniversary is my birthday.
Aw. Like the pod anniversary?
That I don't know.
Oh, well, happy birthday for whenever your birthday is, either way. Oh my gosh. It's always interesting to me when someone's like, "Oh, I don't like to mess with the paranormal, but I saw this or this happened."
But it follows me.
Because it makes it scarier.
Yeah. Like you're not asking for it.
No, I'm more inclined to believe someone's story whenever they're like, "I hate this and I don't want these things to happen to me," than I am if someone's like, "Oh, I'm always looking for the next ghost." And it's like, "Oh, okay. You could you're looking for it, but this person's like, "No, I don't want it."
Mm-hmm.
That's scary.
I find it interesting that they created this portal with the two mirrors facing, and that's when some of the paranormal activity started.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
after the mirrors saw each other.
That's gross.
It's like, what exactly came through?
Yeah.
Our next story is from Liz. The first time I remember experiencing something paranormal, I was about 8 years old and lying in bed going to sleep. The light in my room was on since I've always been a little afraid of the dark. I look over to the window, which is on the other side of my room, and in the window, I clearly see the face of an old woman with crazy eyes and hair staring at me. My room was on the second floor, and there's no way someone could have stood on top of something to look through. Unless you're about 5 meters tall, it's impossible to look through that window from the outside. But what I want to tell you about today happened when I was 13 to 15. I'm now 23. I lived in this really small rural town, and in the specific area of the town I lived, there are only about 5 or 6 houses, including ours, which are all quite far apart, that have permanent residents. Around this time, I'd just moved my room from the second floor, where the previous experience happened, to the basement, which we had just renovated. The first few months went just fine, but after a while I started feeling multiple overwhelming presences moving through my bedroom between the TV room and the office in the basement. It was so bad that I didn't dare close my eyes to sleep and barely even blinked. I was constantly watching the two doors on either side of my room until I couldn't keep my eyes open anymore. Sometimes I even had to go upstairs away from my room since the feeling was so incredibly overwhelming and scary. I never felt like these presences wanted to hurt me. They weren't nice, they simply never acknowledged me. But a little later, a new and completely different presence made itself known. Unlike the other one, this one had purposefully made itself known to me. This entity is almost like shadow people, but he's a completely separate thing. He is a dark, unnaturally tall, human-esque figure with quite long and pointy, sharp fingers. He is exclusively behind me, and whenever I turn or look over my shoulder, he'll move so that he's still behind me. Unless he purposefully wanted me to see him, I could only ever see him standing behind me in mirrors. I was convinced he wanted to kill me, and that he has killed people before, and that I wouldn't get away. I was constantly terrified and looking over my shoulder at all times. I never dared to close my eyes in the shower and would wipe the condensation off the glass so that I could have control over the whole room, so that he couldn't sneak up closer to me while I wasn't looking. I never wanted to look in mirrors out of fear of seeing him behind me. There are especially 3 experiences that I've had with him that really stuck out. In the first experience, me and my brothers were getting ready in the hallway to go to school. We were home alone since both our parents had already gone to work a while ago. Suddenly, the front door swung open quite aggressively. None of us were near the door, and there was no wind outside. Another time, I was walking alone home from school. The weather was nice and there was no wind. Suddenly, I felt something take hold of my backpack and shake it side to side while I was walking so that I almost lost my balance. The last experience I'm going to tell is the absolute scariest I've ever had. Me and my brothers were walking to the bus stop on our way to school. I was walking a little ahead of them and turned to see how far behind they were. When I looked, I saw a tall black shadow with sharp fingers observing me from a few meters behind one of my brothers. I immediately knew that this was the shadow that constantly followed me, showing himself to me. This image is stuck in my head, and I genuinely thought I would die at that moment. It's been a long time since I've seen his presence now, and I've moved out of my childhood home to study, though my parents and siblings still live there, so I still have to regularly visit. But still, to this day, I'm afraid to look behind me in mirrors, and often look over my shoulder, especially when I'm alone. Now I live with my boyfriend, and it makes me sad to admit, but quite a few times when he's simply been walking around our apartment, there's a short moment where I'm struck with fear and freeze because I think, only for a split second, that it's the shadow coming for me. I hope you made it all the way through, even if it's long. Thanks for reading. Love your podcast, Liz.
Oh my gosh. I'm curious to know if anybody else in Liz's family or friends or anybody that has come to that house in general has seen this as well.
Mm, mm-hmm.
Or is it just attached or bothering Liz?
Yeah, I would like to know too.
I don't like it at all, though.
It's so scary, especially in our hide behinds episode. We talked about how hide behinds really only come after lone travelers, like if you're alone in the woods or if you're alone in your house.
Yeah.
But it was following them constantly to the bus stop. Her brothers were there, and it was just watching, following behind her brothers.
And
That would
like
scare me.
that's not even in the house. That's out in the world. old.
It is specifically attached to and following you.
And I wonder if other kids could see it too.
Mm.
Or if it's literally only presenting to Liz. I don't know which one is scarier. Probably just
I
presenting
think
to Liz.
just presenting to Liz is
Yeah, that's scary.
in my opinion. Just because you're like, am I going crazy?
And you're alone in seeing it and experiencing all of it.
Could you imagine? Every time you look over your shoulder, every time you look in a mirror, you see that shadow like duck down behind you.
I already
You
feel that fear.
But if it happened,
no.
I think I would actually faint. I've never fainted in my life. I think I would faint.
Yeah, 100%.
Because that would overwhelm me completely.
Oh, yeah.
Our next story is from Alyssa. Hello, my name is Alyssa. I found your podcast about a month ago, and I think I've watched every episode so far. I love listening when I'm cleaning or playing video games. I was listening while getting ready in the morning, but listening in the shower freaked me out, so I had to stop. I love going to haunted places, and I've been to a couple. Missouri State Penitentiary, the Liska, Iowa Axe Murder House, which you guys should do a story on. It's still unsolved. Fun fact, we did it on our Patreon, so if you want to go check that out, it's over on patreon.com/ghosties.
I was going to say, I thought we did.
We did. And a couple smaller known ones in the Midwest. These stories intrigue me, so thank you so much for making your podcast. I don't have a whole lot of paranormal experiences, but I did share a couple small stories below. My mom liked to tell me this story growing up, and I think it's really sweet. She still recites it to my nieces and nephews. When I was 3, my grandfather, my mom's dad, passed away. My mom said she saw a pigeon outside my grandparents' house staring at them. She brushed it off until at his funeral saw another pigeon staring at the church. So she started telling 3-year-old me that it was Pop Pop, looking down on us. So every bird from there forward was Pop. Eventually, my Nana moved in with my aunt, and on the back patio, once in a while, we'd see the pigeon on the porch. But this time, the whole family said it was our grandfather and would say hello to it. It would either be on the back patio near my grandmother's room or on the electrical wires facing my aunt's house. We had family dinners on Sundays at my aunt's, and if we were to eat outside, the pigeon would move to the back fence and watch us the whole time. When I was 11, my grandmother passed away in that room. My mother said she went out for a smoke before she passed, and the pigeon was there. The next day, there were 2 pigeons that visited my aunt's house. After that, we said Nana and Pop were together again watching over us. I'm 26 now, and I've moved around a lot, but if I'm ever feeling lost or down, I'll look out my window and see 2 pigeons staring at the house. My siblings and cousins see them in significant times in their lives too. I'm not sure if it's reincarnation or just 2 birds they send as a sign. It gives me comfort knowing that my grandparents still check in on us.
That is too cute for me to handle. Also reminds me of, you remember the owl story?
Yeah.
I will never forget. If you don't know, we had a listener story. It was an owl. It was kind of the same concept. Like they kept seeing it, they kept hearing it, and then they caught like an owl on their trail cam, and it was just like a whole thing. And it was their grandpa. And it's just,
it's very sweet.
I'd be a hummingbird, by the way.
Hearing stories like this always makes my heart like a little warm and fuzzy.
What are you going to come back as, if you can? To send us signs?
I don't know. Let me get back to you.
I'm going to be a
I
hummingbird.
want to be something weird. Like a platypus. Why is there a platypus walking across the sidewalk?
That is so horrifying.
Just like
and
a random animal.
Would probably be undeniable then, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. People are going to start sending us like clay platypi that they make.
My gosh,
we can't
insane.
mention niche things on here because then it becomes our whole
personalities.
Just
me saying that will make it my whole personality for myself. So
probably.
To add on another story about my grandparents and them sending us signs, my baby cousin was born 4 years after our grandfather had passed. When she learned to talk, she would look up at the corner in their playroom by the vent and say, "Pop, Pop." And as she got older, she would say Pop was in that vent. Freaked me out then and freaks me out a little now. My one real unexplained paranormal experience was in my old apartment in my college town. I had 3 other roommates at the time, but during this story, none of them were home. I had just gotten out of the shower, and a friend had come over because we were going out to dinner. I was doing my hair when all of a sudden, my closed bedroom door started shaking like my roommate was trying to mess with me. I grabbed a pair of scissors from my desk to scare him back. I ripped open the door and yelled, but no one was there. My friend on the bed looked at me confused, and we both mouthed WTF at each other. I had the scissors still in my hand and burst into his room and yelled, "Nice try, but you can't scare me." No one was there. We searched everywhere in this apartment. It was a small 3-bedroom, but still. The dogs were asleep on the couch, the front door was still locked, and no one else was home. So my friend immediately went back to my room and crawled under my blankets. I closed my door behind us when we went back to my room. A couple of minutes went by, and it started rattling again. I let it rattle and FaceTimed my roommates. He answered the FaceTime, and he was at the grocery store with his girlfriend and our other roommate. The door was still shaking. I went to turn the camera around to show him what was happening, and as soon as it flipped, the shaking stopped. Ghost was making me out to be a liar. They said they'd be home soon, and as soon as we hung up, my friend grabbed my incense, and we went around my house saying a prayer and telling whatever it was to get out. My roommates swear it was the air conditioner, but after that time, it never happened again. I also want to add, we were on the third floor, so no one snuck out a window or anything.
That's so scary.
I was gonna say maybe it's the AC somehow, like it just a vent is placed there, it's blowing really hard, and you have like a loose doorknob or something.
It wouldn't shake like that.
But for it to only happen those 2 times and never again after you prayed and kind of cleared the air, you know?
Yeah, no, that's sick. I cannot imagine being the roommate or the roommate's girlfriend or whoever and getting a call like that and then being expected to come home. I'd be so scared to come home.
Well, they didn't believe her.
I would.
They were like, "Oh, it's just the AC. It's okay."
Right.
As soon as they turned the phone around, nothing. It
No.
stopped. I'd be like, "What do you mean?"
And then we would suddenly be a weird group of roommates that all sleep in the living room together.
We all sleep on a big pallet.
We'd
on
all
the floor.
push our beds together. Yeah, I'm not even joking. That's so scary.
In my apartment I lived in after that, I would always catch shadow figures out of the corner of my eye and felt the presence of a little boy spirit. He was always peeking around the corner, so we named him Sam. We just learned to live with him and say hi if we saw his shadow peeking. My boyfriend had a dream one night about this little boy, and in the dream, the boy said his name wasn't Sam, but it was actually George. So we use the names interchangeably. My boyfriend lived there for 3 years before I moved in, and then another 2 with me. My dad passed away early in 2023, and when we came back to our apartment, we never saw George/Sam again. We moved out of there a couple of months later and haven't seen any shadow figures in the new place either. I hope Sam/George isn't giving the new tenants a tough time. I like to think my dad now protects me from anything supernatural. Sorry this was long. I have a couple of stories from the Missouri State Pen and the Villisca murder house as well. Nothing happened to me at the place, but my boyfriend got a lot of interactions if you guys want to hear them. Thank you so much for reading my stories. I love listening to your podcast and love you guys. Alyssa.
I do want to hear them if this is the current boyfriend, knowing the stuff about the axe
lore?
house.
Yeah.
Isn't that the one where men get scratched? I think it might be, but I don't know. I could be making this up. I know there is a house that we've covered where
There are a few.
men get scratched.
The Villisca axe house is the one where the murders happened. It was like many children.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking of a different one.
I think you might be.
Okay, but either way, I would like to hear
I would
what
also.
happened.
I like that Sam/George was so fed up with being called Sam. He came to your boyfriend in dreams. He's like, actually, guys, my name
Stop
is
calling me
George.
Sam.
My name
That's
is actually George.
so real. He's like, okay, if y'all are gonna acknowledge that I'm haunting here, at least get it right.
Yeah.
So real. I love that.
So funny. All right. Our next story is from Victoria. Hello, I'm Victoria. I've been obsessed with your podcast for the last couple of weeks. You guys are amazing, and it's nice to know I'm not the only one to have the beliefs, so thank you. Whenever you post, my afternoon is instantly better. Your videos have reached the empty state of South Dakota. Anyways, I have a couple of stories for you. Even if you don't read it, I do hope it makes you smile a bit. Shout out South Dakota. Some of my first paranormal things happened when I lived on one of the military bases. I was maybe 7 or 8, so these all could just be my overactive imagination. The first story is during a time when my brother had a bunk bed. One night, I really wanted to sleep with my brother in his room, so I slept on the top bunk of his bed. In the middle of the night, I woke up with this very off-putting and just bad feeling, so I climbed down and crawled into my brother's bed, and I drifted back to sleep. I woke up again and looked to my left and remembered seeing a white lady with hair down to her butt, standing and staring over me and my brother. When I say white, I mean she was all white from her skin to her hair, no color at all. She was slightly translucent, like how you would imagine a ghost would look. Very stereotypical ghost. I pulled the blanket over my head and shut my eyes. I drift off to sleep hours later without looking back. Obviously, this could be because I was very sleepy, but it still creeps me out whenever I think about it. The next one was a year after the last incident. I was having a play date with my neighbor in my room while our moms were talking downstairs. I tell my friend I have to go to the bathroom, which is right next to my room. After I finish, I go back to continue playing, but as I walk in, I hear this laugh coming from my closet. It wasn't exactly evil, but more of a laugh with bad intentions. It sounded like a clown and a man. It's hard to describe, but definitely not the laugh of a little girl. I peer over my bed, calling my friend's name just to find absolutely no one there. I ran downstairs to find my friend sitting with her mom. Obviously, I was shocked. I didn't hear her leave my room. I heard this laugh twice. I then started sleeping in the living room for the rest of the time I lived in that house. I know this all sounds very cliche and made up, so I apologize for that. One morning, my mom was walking me to the guest bathroom to do my hair. When I sat down, a man whispered in my right ear opposite of my mom. I don't remember what they said, but it was short and a deep voice. Surprisingly, I wasn't scared, it just kind of happened. My second to last story is super short. My mom has black hair and used to wear black a lot. It was in the winter when my pipes froze, so I showered in my mom's bathroom. To understand the setting, the actual toilet was in its own room, which you had to walk past the shower to get to. My mom's shower had a glass door that blurred the outside, so you couldn't exactly see. I was showering when a black figure walked across the shower, calling out for my mom, expecting a reply, and when I didn't get one, I looked out and the bathroom door was open, but no one was with me. I ran out to find my mom on the opposite side of the house. Luckily, I moved out of that. Spooky things rarely happen to me anymore. My last story is actually really sweet. I was on a paranormal investigation with my mom in Deadwood, South Dakota. It was in one of those old houses that was turned into a bed and breakfast. Quite a few things happened in there, which I won't get into because of how long this email would be. Anyways, we split up into groups, and I was with my mom and a couple of more experienced people who joined the trip. I was sitting by the door listening for movement or for the EMF to go off, and as I stood there, something cold rubbed onto my lower calf. It freaked me out, and I jumped back. Everybody except me, my mom, and a couple of people have already experienced these types of things, so no one was surprised or anything. A couple of minutes later, one of the people who were more in tune with this type of thing said that there was a cat in here, specifically the spirit of a cat. In my head, I was putting the pieces together, and I believe that the spirit of the cat rubbed against my leg. Obviously, I don't know that, and it could have been anything else, which is spooky. For my sanity, I choose to believe it was a sweet cat spirit. Sorry this email was kind of long, but I hope you enjoyed reading these stories, love your videos, and I hope you both have a great day.
For all of our sanity, yes,
It was a ghost cat.
it was a cat. And I will not be taking any questions or comments about that. It was a cat, for sure.
Yes.
But I am not a big fan of the shower story because as you were going on, I'm thinking, my bathroom. Oh, the
It's
glass
exactly
shower.
like that, yeah.
Oh, you walk straight past it, and what's there? The little room with the toilet. Horrifying. Luckily, though, my glass on my shower is clear. I cannot and would not, like, take a shower in this house if the glass was like that frosted or, kind of like speckly glass.
Mm-hmm.
I would have to change it immediately.
Yeah.
I would go into severe debt to change that because that is
Oh
so
my
scary to
gosh.
me. Because
Not being able to see clearly.
you can't see.
I mean, you can still see colors.
Exactly,
It's
but
like
that's
looking without
scarier.
your contacts in.
No, that's you need help.
That's
That
just
is
how I live my life, okay? If I wake up, I just can't see. I just see blurs of color.
It's like, no, I can't have a glass shower unless I can see fully through it because you're just asking for something scary to happen and like see the shadow of
It
something.
is a little spooky. I don't know what's scarier to me. Is a speckled glass shower or a shower curtain?
A shower
Like,
curtain is scarier.
just not being able to see a single thing.
Shower curtain is definitely scarier.
Yeah.
And I feel so much safer in life since moving into this house and not having a shower
Being
curtain.
able to see out.
I'm not as terrified anymore.
Good.
Knock
You know
on
what?
wood.
I'm glad.
For
Also,
now.
I like the name Deadwood. I want to live in Deadwood. Sounds
Yeah.
like
A spooky town.
yeah, I was gonna say like in a show like you'd watch about these teenagers who live in Deadwood and they experience strange, mysterious things.
Very you. Yeah.
All right, moving on. Our next story is from Raquel. Hi, Macy and Natalie. I'm a new listener of the podcast and I'm absolutely obsessed. I'm a huge fan of all things paranormal and love listening to encounters others have had. The gentle reminder that there's someone or something who lives amongst my family. So here I am sharing my interesting paranormal encounters. Throughout my life, my family and I have had small paranormal encounters, such as items being moved, seeing or hearing things when alone, and oddly enough, a package of cookies being opened. I'll briefly share that the cookies were being saved for a family party, and my parents instructed my brother and I to not open it and eat some. For extra precautions, they placed the cookies on the top shelf of the pantry where my brother and I couldn't reach. We were both little at the time. Overnight, the package was somehow opened, and sure enough, cookies were missing. My parents accused my brother and I, but it wasn't either of us. Both of my parents also denied having a midnight snack. So we have a cookie eating spirit or a liar in the household. I do believe it's the first option because to this day, everyone denies opening and eating the cookies. The cookie enjoying spirit has struck again and again over the years, periodically moving items that logically couldn't have moved. I also believe the same spirit mimics our voices. Everyone in my family has heard their names being called, even though no one was around to do so. My brother has heard my voice calling out to him a few times now, and every time he would come find me and ask what I needed, I would tell him I wasn't saying his name or even talking. Despite all these encounters, I've never felt an evil presence around me. I'd like to believe we have a spirit with a sense of humor. The spirit is also considerate and doesn't do anything peculiar at night. Stuff is always moved during the day, and we only hear things and see shadows out of the corner of our eyes during the day as well. How thoughtful.
Yeah, it just feels like part of the family. It's just a mischievous little cookie eating guy, and I think that's kind of cute.
Yeah. The spirit was even kind enough to leave a kiss mark on the bathroom mirrors.
Never
About
mind. I take back my previous statement.
About 2 years ago, I went upstairs to the bathroom I share with my brother to take a shower. I saw there were identical marks on both mirrors in the bathroom. The marks on the mirrors were very clearly a nose, a pair of lips, and a chin. There was one kiss on each mirror. I immediately went to my brother's room and asked why he pressed his face up against the mirrors, and he was confused. He followed me into the bathroom and I showed him the marks, and he swore he didn't do it. I then went back downstairs to ask my parents about it, and I already knew it wasn't them since neither of them ever use our bathroom. They were both also confused and said they didn't go into our bathroom, and even if they did, why would they ever press the lower half of their face against both the bathroom mirrors? I couldn't come up with a logical reason for this, so I kept asking my brother, convinced it was him, practicing how to kiss or something.
I was gonna say it's the brother being weird. It has to be.
It has to be. He continued to swear to me he didn't do it. I eventually made him press his nose, lips, and chin against one of the mirrors right next to the original mark to see if they would match, and they didn't. Not only did my brother's lips not match up with the original mark, but my brother was taller than whoever had originally kissed the mirrors. The only correlation between the original marks and my brother's was that my brother's did confirm the original was a nose, lips, and chin. They looked similar, just not identical. To this day, I cannot come up with a possible explanation for this other than I possibly live with a liar, yet no one in my house likes to pull odd pranks or has an issue with lying. I also attached one of the pictures I took of the spirit's kiss.
Oh no.
Also, I fear, Raquel, that your brother might be a liar.
He's a cookie eating, mirror kissing liar. Ew.
If that's not your brother, then that's weird.
That
I think
is so gross and scary.
your brother's a liar.
Oh no.
I don't know him.
No, okay.
I don't want to say anything like that, I guess.
I would as a kid, but years later, still not admitting it. Okay,
Yeah.
I can understand not admitting to being all up on the mirror, but
The cookies.
the cookie thing,
Yeah.
years later, someone would admit to that. Even months later, someone would be like, ha ha ha,
Eventually,
okay,
like,
yeah,
okay,
it was me. But years later, still the brother not admitting it? I think something weird was going on, but I don't
Yeah.
know.
Lastly, I want to mention our house isn't old. It was built in the year 2000, and one couple lived here for a few years before we moved in during the spring of 2004. My parents think the spirit is a loved one who has passed, which could explain why it's more silly than scary.
Hmm.
Whoever it is, they've been around for a while, and I don't think they plan on leaving. Thanks for reading about the fifth person in my home. I can't wait for the next episode of the podcast and the mini after, Raquel.
Oh, thanks.
Also, I love your name.
Raquel, yeah, that's a nice name. But keep us updated. Actually, send this to your brother. Whatever your name is. I'm getting Josh or Steven vibes. I don't know. Come on, Josh or Steven. What did you do?
What if it is?
Are you haunting us, or is there actually something haunting your family?
Were you making out with the mirror?
Did you
admit
eat the
it.
cookies?
It's okay.
Keep us updated, Raquel.
Our next story is from Unsigned, so anonymous number 2. Hi, I sent you a brief story before, but I think it's time to share the story that still haunts me to this day. I was around 7 years old when my mom and I moved into a house in Richmond, Virginia. It was an old white house on the corner, set apart from the others, and had this odd feel to it that stuck with me. To make it work as a 4-bedroom house, my mom split the attic into 2 small rooms, and I ended up with one of them. The space felt strange, like it wasn't supposed to be a bedroom, but I didn't think much of it at the time. Then, when I was 14, I decided it was time to start sleeping on my own in my own room instead of staying with my mom. It went fine at first, But then something unusual started happening. I'd wake up in the middle of the night, unable to move, my whole body frozen. I'd lie there, wide awake but completely paralyzed. Each night it got worse. I'd lie down, and almost right away, I'd feel this heavy, numb feeling take over, like something was waiting for me to fall asleep. Then I started noticing a dark figure in the corner of the room. Every night, it seemed to come a little closer. Eventually, I'd feel a pressure around my neck, like something was actually choking me. I couldn't move or call out, just lie there trapped, until it finally stopped. This went on for a while, to the point where I'd go to bed expecting it. Every night, I'd lie there, knowing I'd probably get paralyzed and see the dark figure again. It made sleeping alone in that room almost impossible. To this day, I remember those nights clearly, and sometimes I still feel that chill when I think about it.
I hate that. Going to bed every night expecting
To be
sleep
scared,
paralysis.
yeah.
What a horrible, horrible feeling.
And sleep paralysis where you're being choked.
Yeah. Like,
That's hands around your neck. I hate that for you too.
that is honestly that's a huge nightmare for me if that was happening, because sleep is my favorite
Your happy
hobby.
place.
If I could sleep for a living, I would, and I would be very good at it. I would be putting in overtime. And I can't imagine having that be such a bad time each night.
Not being able to look forward to it.
Yeah.
Our next story is from Bianca. Hi, ladies, from sunny South Africa. Love your podcast. Have been binging it since I found it. I'd love to share my story. There's two. I know I'm sensitive to knowing when something, someone, or somewhere is off my whole life. It's not a conscious thing, more like my brain goes offline and I just say something that turns out to be true. This became more obvious to me when I was 13. I was a media prefect in charge of the media and library in my primary school. The media room always gave me the creeps. One afternoon, two of my friends stopped by while I was on duty and convinced me to go into the media room with them. While the room was still dark, they held hands and grabbed mine, so we were holding hands in a circle. Before the one asked if anything wanted to say hi, I froze, trying to figure out if she was stupid or I was crazy, when I saw movement to my left, shoot past, and end up right behind her. Whatever it was big and red. My friend on my right also saw it and asked, "What was that?" I didn't give them a chance to ask anything more and dragged them out of there. I came back later with the teacher to check what was inside. I lied and said someone, no, not me, saw something run past the window. All the windows were closed and there was nothing missing. I told my mom about this and she said it could be a tokoloshi and to be more careful.
I've never heard
Basically,
of that.
it's in South Africa. It's kind of like a little dwarf thing. A mischievous and malevolent dwarf-like spirit in Zulu and Xhosa, and other South African mythologies.
Interesting. We should do a little deep dive on it.
That would be fun.
I'm intrigued.
The last encounter I had was a few years back. I moved into my dad's house after I finished high school. Parents divorced. My stepmom's house, we knew while growing up, had an old man spirit that would walk down the hallway from my parents' room and stop at my stepbrother's room. My youngest sister's room was further down, and my room was between my parents' and stepbrother's room. This is important for later. Now, I just started working, was in a new town with no friends, and studying part-time, so I would pass out as soon as my head hit the pillow. But this one night, about 6 months after I moved in, I was asleep in my room. I was laying on my stomach, and from a deep sleep, I felt a person push me so harshly into the bed that I bounced up. Needless to say, I was wide awake, and it freaked me out. Then I further freaked out when I heard my youngest sister, she was 7 at the time, start crying in her room. I bolted to check on her, and she had a bad dream. I calmed her down and helped her to my parents' room before going to bed myself. The next morning, my stepmom asked me if the old man woke me up, because she saw him standing behind me when I brought my sister to them and left when I went back to the room. I can't say the old man scared me, but I would have appreciated having some sense of him when he was around. But I digress. Keep up the great pod, ladies. Lots of love, Bianca.
Now, what?
She just casually saw the old man standing there.
That is so scary.
Like
okay,
that.
if we're so cool and chill and fine with this old man spirit, do they know who it is? Is this like
Don't
they
know.
just have they just accepted it, or
I guess they just accepted it.
have they done more digging and they're like, oh, it's the man that used to live here. Okay, whatever.
I don't know.
I'm not a fan.
I don't have any more information, but
I'm really not a fan.
to just know, like, oh, that's just the old guy that lives here.
That feels very scary. It's not as scary. It's like that's scarier than Sam/George or whatever from the
Yeah.
previous story.
It wouldn't be as scary to me if he wasn't touching them.
Like a bother if he wasn't doing
he
things.
pushed her down into her bed and went and woke up the sister.
I hate it. No thanks.
That was really freaky. Our next story is from Alice. Hi, Macy and Natalie. I recently found your podcast and have been binging ever since, so I think it's finally time to share a couple of my stories. First, I wanted to tell the story of my Nana that got younger me obsessed with the paranormal, and I've been the same ever since. My Nana was a nurse and worked in a very old hospital here in England. So yes, I mean very old. She had always heard of stories about the famous lady in gray, who is believed to be an old nurse or nun that died there. My Nana often worked the night shifts where there would be significantly less nurses than during the day. I'm talking a maximum of 5 people per wing. One night, while she was making the rounds and checking the patients' rooms and such, she heard her name being called a few times from the dimly lit hallway. Looking around, she didn't see anyone, but the bottom of a gray dress disappear behind the corner of the hall. When she went to the nurse's office to ask what they needed, the other nurse told her that no one had called her name, and that she was the only one awake on that wing. The next story is about my friend's old house that her family rented for a couple of years. For context, we live in a very old small town, dating back to the Romans, but officially founded in 1212. So, of course, there's lots of houses from the Tudor times, and her home was one of them. My friend, let's call her Emma, had her bedroom on the ground floor with a door leading to the kitchen and a door to the living room. One morning, I had a text from Emma telling me that she had awoken in the middle of the night to her door, the one to the kitchen, being slightly ajar, and a figure of a woman standing there watching her sleep. She was terrified, but after laying there for hours, she eventually fell back asleep. Along with the text message, Emma also sent me a lovely drawing of her doorway with what the figure looked like. It was short, covered in shadow, but she could just about see the eyes of the woman. Skip forward to when I was invited to stay over for a few nights while her entire family went on holiday, so it was just us two. Obviously, I refused to sleep in any other room but Emma's, and was adamant that both doors stayed shut. No one was watching me sleep. However, one night, I did see something. While watching a film, Emma paused it to go to the kitchen and get a few snacks, so I was alone in the living room. I wasn't really doing much other than scrolling on my phone, when suddenly I got the urge to look up at Emma's bedroom door. That's when I saw a shadowy figure walk from the doorway through the living room to the hallway. I could see that it was a young woman in a black dress, but couldn't make out any other features. It lasted only a few seconds, but honestly felt like much longer, and left me frozen until I managed to get the voice to call Emma from the kitchen. I told her what happened, and she replied, "Oh, yeah, that's normally where she is." We decided to carry on with the film and named the ghost Gwen after Spider-Man's girlfriend. They don't live in that house anymore, but we'll never forget what we experienced there. Emma's mom, who is self-employed, so spent a lot of time there, refuses to speak about the house or what she experienced. Like
Real.
you say, if the parent is scared, you know that something real was happening in that house.
Very real. Yep.
Sorry if that was too long, but I hope you enjoyed the stories. I have a few more if you're ever interested in hearing them, and can't wait to listen to more of your episodes. I love the podcast so much. Alice.
Also love your name, Alice. That's very cute.
Yes. Also good names this episode.
I
That's where she usually is.
this is the episode of people just accepting the entity in their home.
It is what it is, man.
They're just like, yeah, that's Gwen, that's
George.
Sam, that's George, that's the old man.
Oh
my god. I'd be like, priest, preacher, exorcist,
Someone, anyone,
whoever. I was trying to think of all the rabbi. I couldn't think of all the religious people. I would not just be like, oh, that's Gwen. Whew. Y'all are braver than I am.
I agree. I also really would like to hear mom's stories.
I would too.
Being there all the time and being so affected by it that they won't even talk about it anymore.
I was gonna say, but would she be willing to share? Probably not.
Probably not, but
Don't bring more attention to it.
I want to know.
Me too.
Also, living in a Tudor house like that,
A dream.
incredible. Our last story of the day, it's a sweet one. It's from
fun.
Catalina. But it is a little sad, so trigger warning right now for miscarriage. Hi there, ghosties. My name is Catalina, and I have a personal experience that I would love to share. I just wanted to start off by saying thank you for the effort you put into every video. I look forward to seeing your videos on Mondays and Fridays. Absolutely love you guys and keep up the great work. For quick context, my husband and I have been trying to have a baby for many years now. 2 years ago, we were blessed, and I carried my baby for 3 months before I miscarried. We have also been living in our apartment for 3 years before I miscarried, and we never in those 3 years had anything paranormal or anything terrifying happen to us. The night I got back from the hospital, my husband and I were completely shattered. My husband fell asleep pretty quickly that night. I was drifting off to sleep when all of a sudden I heard a faint baby's cry. I tried to brush it off, thinking my mind was playing tricks on me. After a few minutes of hearing the faint cry, my husband suddenly sat up. I opened my eyes in shock and asked him what was wrong. He then asked, "Do you hear that?" I responded, "Hear what?" But deep down, I knew what he was talking about. He got out of bed and walked out of the bedroom. Our apartment had a long hallway with 2 bedrooms, our bedroom and a guest bedroom. Our plan was to make the guest bedroom into a nursery. Well, my husband got up and I heard him walk towards the guest bedroom. He later told me he heard the crying get louder and louder the closer he got to the guest bedroom. As soon as I heard the door open, the faint crying stopped. My husband also mentioned that once he opened the door, the crying stopped for him too. He walked back into our bedroom, sat next to me, and we both silently cried. Another time, while I was washing dishes, I heard light footsteps run across the hallway. For some reason, I didn't feel any fear. I walked up and down the hallway trying to figure out what could have made that sound. I looked around, thinking it was probably a small animal that got caught in the window, but it didn't make any sense. I stood at the end of the hallway for a minute, trying to make sense of what I heard as I turned my back to walk back to the kitchen, and then I heard a faint child's laugh, as if it were laughing at the fact that I couldn't find them. These same events went on multiple occasions. My husband has also had his own heartwarming experiences that I wish not to share because they are not my personal experiences. He trusted me by telling me his experiences. All I can say is that whatever was in our apartment made him very emotional. Things were also moving around in the apartment. They were things we made sure not to lose. My husband's PlayStation controller would appear under the bed in our bedroom, which was strange because the PlayStation was in the living room, and the controller was always placed on top of the PlayStation so we wouldn't lose it. We later got a puppy, and she would stand in front of the guest bedroom and wag her tail. We would often find our puppy in the guest bedroom, laying on her back as if someone was giving her tummy rubs. My husband and I ended up moving to a different state. I know this next part might sound crazy, but I felt like it was the right thing for me to do. Before leaving the apartment, I said out loud, "Thank you for keeping us company, but we can no longer have you around. It hurts me to hear you laugh and run around, but not being able to see you or hug you." It's been almost a year, and we no longer hear those light footsteps or faint laughter. Sorry for the long email. I hope you guys enjoyed, and to the mothers of an angel baby, I promise it will all get better.
Oh my gosh.
I'm about to cry right now. I'm trying to pull it together.
See, like stories like that don't affect me as much because I've never been pregnant. I never luckily never experienced anything like that.
Yeah,
I know it gets you like crazy, but that was so sweet and so sad.
that was beautiful. And
My belief is that if we're, saying that that was your child, that's your
mm,
baby,
mm,
and it was sticking around and hanging out with y'all, which I would like to believe, and I think they also believe.
I definitely believe that. Yeah.
I think when the time comes, like that baby is going to be yours eventually,
You
like
think
in
so?
like Earthside, I think so.
Yeah, we have heard stories where it's like,
My baby
like,
visiting me in my dreams, or like
and said, like, I'm coming back. Like,
yeah,
I'm coming back
my
now.
my grandpa or like my late mother was holding it in my dreams and said, "Oh, you can go now." And then I found out I was pregnant. Oh my gosh, now I have my 10-year-old, and
Yeah.
So I think, and I would like to believe, and I hope this isn't like overstepping or being weird, but I think that's your baby, and I think you will have it one day. I think
Like your
that,
baby's sticking around until its time comes.
yeah, because I am of the belief that, or I would like to hope that all of the people in our lives and all the people we have currently have always been there and will always be there, and they just
Hmm.
we cycle through if you believe in like past lives and things like that. So I think that I don't know where I'm going. I can't say the words, but you know what I'm trying to
I
say?
do. I understand what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
That, like, the soul is hanging around waiting for its time to come.
Yeah, and it's
And
always been
it's
there
always
with
been
you
with you.
in this life and the
And it
previous
will
one,
always
and
be
it'll
with
be
you.
with you in the next. I
Yeah.
think. I
Yeah.
don't know,
That's a beautiful belief. I think so.
but that's really sweet.
Oh, I'm still emotional. Thank you for sharing that with us, Catalina. And I'm so sorry that you've gone through that loss and you've gone through that struggle, but baby dust to you and anybody else who needs it.
Did what I just said make sense? Was that coherent?
It was
Or
coherent. At least it was to me. But
okay, if
who am
that
I?
sounded crazy, I hope y'all are understanding the words I'm trying to say. It's early right now. I can't form a thought yet.
No, definitely makes sense. But that is all we have for you today. Thank you. Big shout out to everyone who was vulnerable with us and sharing their stories. We appreciate it. I know a lot of these paranormal stories, we talk about it all the time. They come with a lot of emotional baggage, a lot of the time, be that fear or heartbreak or loss
or even happiness sometimes.
you know?
Like the pigeon story.
Yes.
So love the pigeon story, by the way.
It was very
and
sweet.
I love that they, assuming we can choose, chose pigeons.
Yeah.
Of all birds. I think that's really cute.
But we appreciate everyone who shares their story with us. If you'd like to share your own, you can email us. It's ghostieспod@gmail.com. It's also written down in our description. Like this video if you liked it. Share it with your friends if you feel compelled to do so, and subscribe for more. We've got another research episode. It's really exciting. Should I? Patreon picked it.
Yeah.
Peggy the doll. You know nothing about it, but it is an incredibly haunted and scary doll.
You know what's really
Very scary
creepy and
doll.
weird? We haven't talked about haunted dolls in a while, but yesterday I was getting a card for a coworker that's leaving, and I saw a birthday card, and I thought, I should get this for your birthday, but your birthday's so far away, I just didn't want to get it yet. It said something like, I was looking for a cute birthday card for you, but then I saw this one and thought, ooh, creepy doll, and it's just a picture of a creepy doll.
That's perfect.
So it's very strange that you say this.
Well, come back on Monday. Subscribe so you don't miss it. We have Peggy the doll.
I'm
if
excited.
you dare. Listen if you dare.
Okay, well, now I'm nervous.
A little scary. But we appreciate all of you being here, and we will see you on Monday.
Goodbye.